Welcome back to the Armchair Attorney Podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Leffler, a real-life lawyer, adjunct law professor, and amateur-ish podcaster. Podcasting's all the rage right now. Lots of things going on in that very dynamic world. Don't know what, really. No, we're here to talk about some very interesting things. Later, in just a few moments, we have installment 2 of the Precision Scheduled podcast, arriving exactly when it's supposed to and departing exactly when it's supposed to. This stuff doesn't happen if it wasn't for the friends of the podcast, DAT Dial-A-Truck. Since 1978, DAT has been helping brokers, motorcars, and all the people in the supply chain discover loads, building the trusted marketplace. Oh, I know all about DAT. I know all about Dial-A-Truck. Over the last, let's say, 10 months, they have transformed their business with some incredible acquisitions, including friends of Trucker Tools, Outgo, and most recently, Convoy. If you're new to DAT, and I'd be very surprised if you were, but presumably you're looking to start your own thing, you got your own ideas. If you are, there's a way you can save some money. By following the link in the show notes of the podcast, you can save yourself 10% off the first 12 months of DAT. Whether you're a motor carrier or a broker, there's a path for you with DAT. DAT's got the freight. DAT's got that guy, Mr. Adamo. I don't know if he's around, but I'm sure he'll be happy to chime in about his beloved The Ohio State. And of course, our incredible friends at Genlogs. Genlogs is setting a new standard of care for freight intelligence. They have cameras all over the country. And with those cameras, they can tell you so much more about the trucks and trailers moving your freight. And if something's missing, something's gone awry, what can you do to find out where the things are? You can rely on Genlogs. If you go to our link again in the show notes, you can take you to a demo and see what that software is all about. And of course, reach out to our friend Ryan Joyce, fan of the show, fan of our podcast, friend of the show, been on the podcast before. We are big supporters of that team. And we are right in the midst of back to school. We are in the middle of this. This is not easy being a parent. I have 4 of them. 12, 9, and twins that are nearly 3. They'll be 3 November 15th. Oh, it's so close. So close. Now, I have some incredible stuff to talk to you about. And that's why my good friend Ann Rinke, the CEO and president of IANA, the Intermodal Association of North America, will be joining me in just a few short weeks, less than 3 weeks, really. I think it's September 15th and 16th and 17th is this incredible event in Long Beach, California. Now, as much as I hate leaving Chicago in the midst of fall, Long Beach is a pretty nice place to visit. So without further ado, allow me to reintroduce you to my dear friend, Ann Rinke. Ann, how are you?
I'm doing just fine, Matthew Leffler. How are you doing?
I'm living La Vida Loca. It's the only way to live. It's the only way that I know. So I'm very glad to have you back on this Precision Scheduled podcast.
You know what? It's very timely, and I appreciate it as always.
Well, the rails never seem to stop. The last time you were here, we were talking about this proposed merger of Norfolk Southern and the Union Pacific. That still is percolating, but the most recent thing is BNSF, owned by Berkshire Hathaway, has talked about a partnership with CSX. What in the world is going on in the world of intermodal?
Well, you know what? I have firsthand information, which makes it even that much more relevant.
Are we breaking news?
No, it's not breaking news, but hearing from the mouths of the people involved, I think always makes it even that much more salient, right? So I had the good fortune of spending a lunch hour with Joe Hinrichs, the chair and CEO of CSX. He's not the chair. Forget it. He's just the CEO, president,
okay,
CEO.
Just the CEO, just the CEO.
No big deal. He's
name dropping. I appreciate
That's right.
that.
And then this week, I was at BNSF, their facility in Fort Worth, Texas. And so what was apparent to me and what you would hear from both BNSF and CSX is that they believe that there are greater efficiencies to be had. They believe that you can achieve growth, particularly intermodal growth, which is obviously what we care about the most. through just tighter collaborations with railroad partners, that mergers are not the only answer. And so they're not saying yay, nay, but they're saying here's an approach that we think is sustainable and that we support. And so not only do we support it, we're actually going to put some, effort into it. And so that's what they did. They streamlined these various, east to west kind of collaboration moves.
And that's the thing we talked about in our previous conversation is the days of the railroads competing with each other. I mean, they still have to at some level, but their real competitors are the over the road trucks that are out there moving freight. And if you
That's
can
exactly
offer
right.
the coast to coast solution, you can bring more value to shippers. Is that what you're hearing from like the shipper community? Are they looking at this and going, hey, this might actually solve some of the problems that we've been experiencing?
Yeah, I think you see the split in the shipper community, don't you? I mean, I think there's some really big names who have supported the merger, some of our members, obviously, and you've seen some names of folks who are kind of on the fence still or have not said encouraging things yet. I think everyone could recognize, though, that to improve efficiencies is a good thing, and that for railroads to grow the customer base and really focus on it is also a good thing. So how it's achieved, we will see, right? We still have the filing, which hasn't been filed yet. The merger filing hasn't been filed yet. We also know there was a huge brouhaha this week for all the Washington insiders at the STB, and so that makes everything sort of murky. So,
well, what is the brouhaha? Like, I'm not down with the.
You're not aware of the brouhaha?
That's why you're here, Ann. You're here to explain to me what's happening. What is the brouhaha? Please kind of dive into this.
Okay, so the brouhaha is that one of the members of the Surface Transportation Board, and they're the economic regulator of the railroads, they are the ones who approve mergers.
Okay.
Interestingly enough, right? One of the members was asked to leave, or his job was terminated by this president, the administration. He is a Democratic member. He's been on since 2020. His name is Robert Primus.
Okay.
He used to work on the Hill. He was the sole dissenting voice against the CPKC merger. So people are signaling that means that this president wants a merger.
I see.
That
makes sense.
Okay. Right. I don't know if it's that simple. And some of this is not original thinking. I do agree. Some of it is Tony Hatch. We all know Tony Hatch. He's a big, railroad analyst. But, the fact is that there are a lot of really big companies who may not be on board with this merger. So I don't think a merger is a shoo-in, separate and apart from this gentleman being asked to leave. And the legality of him being asked to leave is also another issue because it's an independent agency ostensibly.
Interesting. Okay. So if I get this right, there is this Surface Transportation Board, like they're going to be the ones ultimately making the decision if the UP and the Norfolk Southern deal can happen. And that might take months, to take a year, take some time. But for BNSF and CSX, like they're not going to rush to the altar. They're just kind of dating. They're kind of like, hey, let's just see how we get along. And so they can begin like implementing maybe like this plan. Are they, from your conversation with them, are they able to start implementation now? Or is there already a working relationship between these two?
Yeah, and they already had some moves. Even when I was at CSX, there was a move that went from the west to Atlanta using BNSF power. Not all BNSF crews. There was a crew switch when the Mississippi River is the dividing line. But the point of that is that there's already these kinds of collaborations that exist, and so what was announced really was an enhancement of more of them because they did that before. It seemed to work out pretty well. What else can we do?
Yeah, what I like about this, like you get this big announcement from UP and Norfolk Southern, these maps start coming out, and I love maps. Like, oh, look at how we work so well together. And then like within a couple of days, maybe a couple of weeks, you see BNSF come out with this partnership and they say, look, we are talking about something similar. And they say, this is not a reaction to Norfolk Southern and UP. Like they're doing whatever they do, but like we have really cool maps too. And I'm like, oh, this is wonderful. I have two maps to compare. If you were to like reading through the tea leaves, my guess, and then you don't have to opine on this, but this is my guess. My guess is BNSF is sitting there watching what happens with Norfolk Southern and UP. And if that gets approved, there's like literally no chance their potential acquisition of CSX could be stopped. Like there's precedent, it's going to happen. And I've heard Berkshire Hathaway, I've heard of this company. I believe they have like some money. I don't know how many money.
It's like a ma and pa operation.
Yeah, it's a small operation, like a couple folks, like a small little office. So my guess is maybe the path becomes only 2 rails, but maybe you don't have to have that. If you have a partnership that can streamline these things, maybe it's not necessary. But how do you look at the world of intermodal like 5 years from now? What do you think we're going to see in 5 years?
Yeah, I think because I keep hearing the commitment of the railroads, and obviously they're the central piece of intermodal, not to set aside the ocean carriers and the dray carriers who are also a critical component of them. But if they are as committed to intermodal as they seem to say, and I think they're being sincere, both in the UP-NS merger discussion, they had that public press conference and they talked intermodal quite a bit. And what I'm hearing from BNSF and CSX, everyone is committed to intermodal growth. And so music to our ears, we are also committed to intermodal growth. And I think, as I told you last time, the market share has shrunk over the last few years. And so if we can get this kind of momentum, the big mo, if we can get this kind of momentum,
right. We're talking physics. Absolutely.
Yeah. Then that to me bodes really, really well.
Do you think, like, what I love about IANA is like you kind of, as an intermodal kind of organization, you span different modes of transportation. Like you have to deal with the ocean carriers, you have to deal with the ports, you have to deal with the dray providers, you have to deal with the rails. What is IANA looking like for this big meeting coming up in a couple of weeks? Like, what are you most excited about for the upcoming expo?
Well, I will tell you, we have, I mean, this is almost like a negative. It's not really a negative, but cargo theft, as we know, has been such a big deal. And we know that cargo theft is bigger than crimes of opportunity. It's also strategic theft and it's linked to cartels. So we have the former DEA administrator, Ann Milgram, who can touch on these topics. And she's seen it firsthand because so much of the stuff that happens, if there are people who are committing crimes in one area, typically, and I'm not a criminal, so I just hear this. Typically, they are committing other crimes. And that is no exception with cargo theft. So I'm really excited about it. But of course, the most important moment will be the session that you are moderating.
That's very kind of you to say. I think the panelists will absolutely be the most important and interesting part of all of that. My job is a facilitator of awesome people, and I'm very, very appreciative and gracious to be able to do something like that.
Well, I will tell you this. We are on the main stage, Matthew. It's a big deal. All eyeballs on us, right? You're not going to be on some side room, exhibit hall B. You're not going to be there. You're on the main stage.
That's why we got the red corduroy. I mean, there's nothing we can do. My hope is that you and I will be sharing some fashion tips together on this momentous day.
Maybe that should be like half of the panel. Just
That's
talking
all the
about
questions.
that.
Like, when did you start wearing corduroy? When did you decide it was the right choice? Well, speaking of the other organizations, so you're seeing one side of the intermodal house talking about incredible mergers, incredible partnerships. How do you look at the other organizations? Do they have any views of these things? Do the ocean carriers or the ports, do they have an interest? Do they think maybe this means more for us? Or what are you hearing in that regard?
Yeah, I think that they're taking a wait and see approach. I mean, part of it is because you don't have anything officially to react to until there is a filing, right? I mean, the smart money is to say, all right, let's see exactly what they're talking about. I don't know. What is it that you're supposed to be like? You're not supposed to rush to judgment and you're supposed to be quick to forgive.
That's right. That's good advice.
That's what the agents do. That's not what you do on social media. But
no,
that's what you're supposed.
And ask, what is it we're reacting to?
And never forgive. No. So I do think that there are people who are sort of sitting back. They're saying, let's hear exactly what they're talking about. And are they saying, are we on board? No, right? We're going to reserve judgment. It is challenging, though. You want to be promotional of the mode. You want to be promotional of the business line and of the industry. So I doubt we're going to see a whole lot of negative stuff, but there could be some filings where they ask for various conditions, and that is not without the realm of possibility, right?
Do you think that, like, as we go into this, like, third and fourth quarter of this year, do you feel like we're going to see some additional volume? Like, will peak season be a normal peak season? Oh no. Okay, good. Give me the
I know,
bad
sad
news.
face, sad face. Well, a couple things. One is we had a lot of inventory front loaded right at the beginning of the year just to avoid the tariffs. Then July, surprisingly, was internationally was really good for intermodal because of the abatement of the Chinese tariffs, right? However, now we have this de minimis exception, which you just talked about, and goods
Yeah.
under $700 are no longer exempted from tariffs. I think that will have an impact. The fact is, if the inventory levels are high because of the two things I mentioned, and then now there's additional penalties for low cost items, I don't think we're going to have some sort of surge.
Yeah, and for the folks who are watching this live, or if you're listening to this podcast, it's Friday, August 29th, 2025. The de minimis exception that has been in place, it's in various versions and amounts for decades and decades. That is gone as of today. So a lot of stuff that was going to be coming in has been like frozen, stopped. No one really knows. And so I'm very curious, like, how much of an impact we're going to feel. Do you think we'll see a pretty significant impact in the next month from this thing? Or do you think shippers kind of knew this was going to happen? They were planning it wasn't going to be postponed. Like, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I tend to think that the shippers are reading the newspapers, if anyone reads a newspaper or physical newspaper anymore, but the shippers are reading the news every single hour just to see what is changing. This will not catch them fleet-footed or flat-footed.
Yeah.
Flat-footed. It will not catch them flat-footed. And so I have to think, and I'm just saying this because it makes sense, but I think it's actually true that they are planning for this. But we are seeing this is reflected now in prices, right? Prices have gone up, and there are retailers who are telling us we can no longer not pass the cost along to the customer. We have tried as long as we can, but we cannot
Yeah.
anymore. And so, yeah, that's going to have an impact.
Do you think there will be enough political will to push back and say we don't want these things? Or do you think the will of the people to try to stop these increases in prices, that's probably not going to work at this point?
Well, I think you're pulling on something significant because the first half of the year, we didn't really necessarily feel anything much different, right?
That's
I
right.
mean, everyone's like, what tariffs? This is not a big deal. What are we talking about? If we really start to feel it, I think that's going to be an enormous political calculation. I mean, I don't know President Trump from Adam's house cat, but what I do think is he likes to be at the front of a parade rather than at the back of a parade. So I would just assume he's not immune to political pressure. And so if people are really upset and he's got a political acumen about that, he can pick that stuff up. I think there would be a shift.
Yeah, because I think, like, to your point about the passionate cost of tariffs on the business to business deals, they've been baking in higher costs for
Right.
everything. But it was the people that were selling direct to consumers, like, let me eat this, let me deal with this for a little bit. But at some point, it's like, I can't do this. I have shareholders. We all have to figure this out. And
That's right.
people had hoped domestic manufacturing would kick back up, and I really just don't think that's a plausible thing given like the capital expenditure you have to do to make something, and then also just like the fact that tariffs can kind of come and go. So it sounds like bad news ahead. It sounds like there's going to be a rough fall and a rough winter for some.
Well, I will say I've mentioned Larry Gross, the intermodalist, the guru from Durango, Colorado, like the Oracle from Omaha. He's the guru from Durango, Colorado. He is not predicting, we're not looking at a huge decline. He is predicting flat.
Okay.
So I'll take flat over decline. But I think what a question mark will be, what is the impact of this end of this de minimis exception?
Yeah, but after we talked last, I had a chance to sit down with Jason Miller and Ken Adamo, and Miller from Michigan State and Adamo from DAT. And the stuff that Jason kind of brought to my attention was like the rate of credit card defaults, the rate of auto loan defaults, the rate of like student loan delinquencies. And it's like the American consumer doesn't have a ton of money to go buy things. So the demand for more stuff isn't going to be there. And we still have a ton of trucks on the road. There's still a ton of capacity. And I don't know how that gets solved. Like I don't know how you get to a place, but if it's flat, I mean, I'll take flat over like a recession or something. So at least we're not
Right.
looking at like that type of negativity.
I've not seen that anywhere. And I mean,
Okay.
I'm not just being Pollyanna-ish. I don't think that's going to happen, but there will be an impact on people's wallets, right? I feel it. Anytime you've got 4 kids, for goodness
There's
sake,
so
anytime you go,
many.
there's so many of them. They're overwhelming you. But anytime you go out to dinner, and I'm just assuming you go out to dinner at some point.
Once in a blue moon. We don't want to
Right.
harass the staff so much.
Well, when you get that bill, it's like, what did we just buy? This is insanity. And no one's doing anything wrong. I'm not saying there's some malevolent forces out there who are price gouging. It's just things cost more, right?
Yeah.
The inputs cost more.
Absolutely. And we drink a lot of milk, we have a lot of eggs, we have a lot of diapers and wipes, and those things are not super. I'm hoping there's gonna be some big discounts. That's what I'm hoping for. Is retailers like, oh, we gotta get rid of them. It's help out the Leffler
You should
family.
look for sponsorships from those folks.
I'll start like tweeting at them and saying, hey, I would love you to sponsor I'll start wearing like badges. It'd be great. I'm trying to run a business here. If there's people listening, I'll take your money and I'll talk about your product.
Like one of the soccer shirts, you could have like Etihad instead of Etihad. You could have.
Well, I'm thinking, Ann, like when I start going to conferences, I'll start like I'll put badges on the jacket, and like it's like a NASCAR.
Like flair.
Flair. Absolutely. I mean, that'll show my commitment. Did you ever wait as tables before? Or
I sure did. Anything. I feel like anyone has to have a job like that. I worked at a couple places. I worked at a restaurant called Rock Bottom Brewery, which is a chain. It's like a brewery, right? And then I worked at another smaller restaurant, and I will tell you, I was no good at it.
Really?
I was real friendly.
Yeah.
I was real friendly. But you know what? Waiters and waitresses who are good, they have a special gift that not everybody has.
I really enjoyed waiting tables.
Did you? I bet you were great at it.
I was okay. I worked at Texas Roadhouse, and I had, I had 2 techniques, 2 things I had to do. If a customer asked me for a refill, I felt I've let them down. So if I saw the drink was at like a third left, I'm coming with a new drink. Like, you might not ask for, I don't care. Like, it's going to be there because your job is not to tell me what you need. My job is to anticipate it. And then whenever I had tables with kids, this was back in the early 2000s, Blue's Clues was very popular, Ann. And I went on like whatever, I went to Toys R Us and I bought a bunch of Blue's Clues notebooks. So whenever I got the kids' orders, I wouldn't use my normal pad. I'd say, let me get out my handy dandy notebook. And they'd be like, oh. And it was good, but I ended up leaving that job to go work at Best Buy and selling TVs. So I prefer retail over service.
Yeah, how are you at that?
I love selling televisions. I love selling experiences. What I loved about Best Buy was it was non-commission. So my job is to talk to you and figure out what experience you wanted. And I would try to build you that experience, knowing full well that you might just go across the street to Circuit City and say, hey, they quoted me this. Can you break down by 5 or 10%? But I love the consultative sales. Like, I want to know what your goal is. And I will work backwards to figure out what is the best option for you. How much light is in the room? What kind of stuff do you watch? Do you play games? And I loved it. I loved it.
Oh my gosh. Well, Best Buy's still around.
They are. Retail's a hard business.
Circuit City is not.
That's true. I mean, I think Best Buy has survived by working really hard with partners like Apple saying, hey, you take on this little area. It's a tough business. It's a tough retail.
It's a tough business. Retail is tough. I agree with you on that.
Did you do retail, Ann?
Oh yeah, I did retail. I mean, I did all this stuff.
Okay, what was your retail? What was your retail?
Do you know Loehmann's?
No, what's Loehmann's?
I have so many stories.
Yeah, that's what I want to talk about.
Okay, so Loehmann's was like TJ Maxx before TJ Maxx existed. It was but just for women. It just had women's stuff. So it had basically overruns from department stores or excess inventory, and you would get it at a cheaper rate. But they did not have any security material, like security bars or whatever they're called, that are on clothing. I'm blanking on what they actually call it. So they had open dressing rooms. That was their answer to not having any security tags.
You just see everything?
You see everything. I got to tell you, I saw things that I shouldn't have seen. And it's right there. And it's this mirrored dressing room. So you could see it 1,000 times over.
Does it still in business now?
No, it went out of business. Probably people were like, I'm not getting dressed in front of somebody else. This is a nightmare.
That's an experience you'd sell separate and apart, like for the people who just want to be seen in this thing. Okay, I did KB Toys.
Yeah.
My first retail job was.
Oh, I remember KB Toys.
KB was another amazing experience. I love that. It was during the holiday season. I learned peak season from KB. We got one truck a month, and
that's where your logistics love started.
Oh, I think it's more of a hatred, but I did love parts of it. It's like when you didn't have enough stuff that the people want, like the For Real Cat or the Tickle Me Elmo, and they would blame
Cabbage
me.
Patch Kids.
Oh, absolutely. And they blame me. It's like, oh, you should have known I was coming. I'm like, I don't spec, I don't source. I just sell I sell toys. I don't price match. I had 4 aisles. That's it. My favorite story about KB, one of my favorite stories, was there was a Barbie that came out named Midge. And Midge had a detachable stomach that would show a baby. So you'd have this bump for the baby. You could take off the thing, and then you'd have a baby. And I remember this customer's like, I don't like this in your store. And I said, why is that? They go, well, it teaches my kid about where babies come from, and I don't like it. I want you to take it off the shelf. I'm like, I make $8 an hour. There is
you don't have any authority.
No, I can't. I can't call up the people. And the beautiful thing was, KB actually eventually did take them out. They did not. Mattel got a lot of pressure. Those dolls are very collectible now. So if you can find an original Midge, it's worth hundreds of dollars. So there's a silver lining there.
There really, really, really is. I'm going to go start looking for Midge. Probably
go on eBay. You'll find them. There's good stuff out there. All right, what other retail jobs did you have, Ann?
Okay. Where do I start? So I was Loehmann's, obviously the open dressing room, somewhat scarring. I worked at a consignment shop.
Okay.
Do you know what a consignment shop is?
So you don't own the merchandise, but you share the revenue with the person who does. So it's like, not a pawn shop, but it's something like that. Was it clothing? What kind of stuff?
It was like people who made crafts.
Oh my goodness. Like the original Etsy stores.
It was like the original Etsy store.
That's incredible. How long did you do that for?
I don't know, like one summer. I worked at the Gap.
Okay. All right.
You know what you have to do if you work at the Gap? You have to wear socks.
You can't, or you have to?
You have to wear socks.
I think most jobs require that.
Do you think so?
I don't think that's like an aberration for the Gap.
I was like, what do you mean I have to wear socks?
I think
like multiple times because I was not wearing socks.
You're getting written up for not wearing socks?
Yeah, I was part of the uniform. I was like, what do you mean I wear socks? I don't wear socks. Who wears socks?
I guess like maybe this will be one of the clips we cut, and I'll ask like a poll of people like to get like their feedback, because
how many people required to wear socks?
Yeah, I mean, and not even like, I mean, maybe, I guess like required, or just like the pressure to that, because open-toed shoes, like that was most of the rules of places I've worked, like no open-toed shoes. You got to have this. And then I don't know a lot of people who wear shoes without socks. Like, do you wear shoes, no socks?
Do I?
This is news to me, Ann. This is like, there's a lot of stuff going on in the freight industry right now. A lot of things that are happening.
But let's focus on socks.
Yeah, let's talk about. Well, it's about transportation is all about feet. It's all about movement. It's all about where things go. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I think women are different. Women are, they don't wear loafers all the time with socks. They just don't. They're allowed to do more with their feet.
Okay.
Without socks.
One of the jobs I had was I was a pond cleaner at the Chicago Botanic Gardens in Glencoe, Illinois.
That's good, clean work.
It was actually the opposite of that.
It's dirty work.
It was filthy. And actually, I will tell you, Mike Rowe from Dirty Jobs fame.
Oh yeah.
After I left the job, like a decade after I left, he went there to that place and filmed my job. He did my job. And
And
so
what was the sort of like take on it?
so he did not like it. So the job that I did was you'd get to the pond, and they didn't use any chemicals to treat the water. You'd have to do it all manually. So you wear hip waders every day, and
Oh
you
my God.
have this giant cutting device. It's a 2-foot blade on either side. It's like a giant V.
Wow.
You cut the seaweed, and then you scoop it up with the algae, and you put it all on the side of the pond to dry it out, and then that goes eventually to the compost. It goes back into the
How does
whole
the
garden.
seaweed generate itself?
So
Where's it coming
it just
from?
grows. So like what happens is like the algae will always grow, and the seaweed will
Sure.
come either through birds can bring it, but also it can just come from the wind. Like it can get.
So it's coming from the lake? Like
Yeah, so
birds are
the
transporting it from the
yeah, and once it's there, it's going to be set in. Like you can just cut the tops of it off. You can't get to the roots and pull it all out.
Oh
And this
my
was 6 miles of coastline. So you just every day you're doing like a section of coastline. You clean it up, you
Oh, okay.
take it
I
out.
misunderstood. I thought you were doing a pond.
No, so yeah, I should say it's more of a like they're more like mini lakes. So it's like
Okay.
it's a giant 6 miles of coastline of the like surround the lake, and you clean the
I
6
gotcha.
miles of coastline. My favorite story of this was one year it got so hot that the oxygen levels of the pond completely went crazy, and so we had hundreds and hundreds, maybe thousands of fish die
Dead.
dead. And so my job every morning and then in the afternoon was to get in my boat, because I had a boat, and I'd go and scoop all the dead fish.
Collect all the dead fish.
It's like 110 degrees, dead fish rotting,
Smelly
flies.
dead fish.
Oh, it was
You want to
so
throw up
pungent.
every second.
I mean, yeah,
sure.
that was the idea, but it was I'd rather scoop the dead fish than scoop the algae and the seaweed, because it's just a different change of pace. So it was like a week or 2 weeks of just dead fish. So that was my manual labor job. I did that for 4 years in the
Good
summers.
for you.
It was
That's
good.
great.
It was I
You know what?
learned
It all builds character.
it does. It's a good experience. Did you ever do jobs that were like that?
I mowed lawns.
There you go.
That's not the same, but I mowed lawns.
It's cathartic to mow lawns. Do you mow your own lawn?
No, now my son does.
Oh, I wanted my son to do it, and he wanted to do it, but I had so much fun doing it that I was like, this is going to be for me. Maybe next year. Maybe next year. You can see the work after you walk. Okay, so after the consignment shop, what do you do next?
I don't know. You're taking me back to my teen years. I feel
know.
I did a lot of office jobs, like,
Okay.
where you staple stuff and you Xerox stuff. I remember standing in front of a Xerox machine like all day, and then people giving you like, "Here, can you just do this whole binder?" You're
Just
like,
one more time.
this
Yeah.
this
Well, you were a lawyer.
3,000-page binder.
Was that in the law context you were doing that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, let's talk about your legal career. Like when did you graduate? What was your first legal job?
Okay. This is really going to take us back.
It's
Okay.
really the
So
PTSD of being a lawyer.
I know, right? And so it's so interesting because you and I have talked about being a lawyer, and you're using your legal degree in a variety of different ways, which is so fascinating. And you just have that entrepreneurial spirit about you. I don't feel like I have it. Maybe someday I will. You never say never. But so I went to a law firm, and I was a contract attorney. So they hired me for a specific case.
A project.
And it was a big project, right? And so this was a really good firm. And if I, stayed on this project, they could hire me like full time if I wanted to do that. I had some commitment issues. Clearly, this is before I'd find out if I passed the bar.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so you're doing like doc review.
Yeah, so they're starting me on spec, and so I'm doing document review, and I was like, every day I'm in document review, and all the people were all doing document review, and it was like we're in a house full of monkeys. We're just a house full of monkeys shooting rubber bands at each other. It was like, this can't be right. I can't do this for the rest of my life, can I? Anyway, so then that's when I got into associations. I was like, I got to get out of here. I got to get out of here.
So for the folks that are not lawyers and don't know document review, I'm going to just kind of paint the picture of what it can be like. Your experience may differ, but this is what it can be like. Imagine you have a dozen banker boxes full of pieces of paper, and you're in an office that is usually in the basement or somewhere that doesn't have a window, because you're not allowed to have a window if you're doing document review. Maybe if you're fancy, maybe, but no, if you're doing document review, it's probably you and maybe 6 of your favorite strangers, and you're
Yeah.
looking at documents, and you have to look for specific words. And those are, you're going to try to
Yes.
figure out, is this privileged? Is this confidential? What level of production is required? Is it responsive? Is it questionable? And you'd have to sort them. And sometimes you'd put colors to sort them. Sometimes you put them in specific places. You might put
Yeah.
numbers or stickers on them.
And then
And
you input it in the computer.
And you would do this for 12 to 15 hours a day.
Yes.
And you would say to yourself,
and you get paid handsomely.
let's back that one up for a second, because that's not true. I would do, like, I used to, my very first job, like I was a defense attorney doing insurance defense work, so document reviews was part and parcel to it. You would work and you're making, like, let's say it's like 50 to 60,000 a year, but maybe it's 70, 80,000 now, whatever the number is. But you do the math and you'd start going, I worked 60 hours this week. What is how much did I make an hour? And you start, and you're like, the more you think about it, the more awful it becomes. And I think, to your point, like, I noticed the same kind of thing. It's like, is this forever? Is this what it will always be? Like, is this why I did this? Like, I thought I was
you thought you were going to be like Perry Mason, like, I'm going to be defending people. And this is, I mean, I'm sure that's why you were a defense attorney, right? Like, this is justice.
I was, my thing was more like, I need a job and I need someone to pay me money for the job. And they had money to pay me. But I think, like, you want to help people. Like, that's why, like, as a lawyer, it's about helping. And I think, like, what you do with IANA and, like, what you've done at TIA and other places, it is trying to help people in the specific niche achieve something. Is it growth? Is it better practices? Is it doing safety? Like, whatever the thing is that they need. And if it's like, oh, it's policy, it's advocacy, there's something around being the advocate that I love. What I had found, what I found, like, in private practice, like when I worked for other firms, it was advocating for people you didn't necessarily want to advocate for. And it's like, I don't like the way that I felt. And so, like, now, to your point earlier, like, I do different things with my law degree. I still practice. I have clients, but it's not everything that I do. I'm very careful with who I allow to be a client these days.
To your point, so, the traditional definition of a lawyer is an advocate. Mm-hmm. Advocacy comes in many ways. You can be a government affairs advocate, right? Advocating to the Hill and to federal agencies. You can be a sales advocate, right? Like, being a salesman is being an advocate for your company, your product, whatever. And so I just like this advocacy around an organization and promotional of an industry. I mean, but it's the same sort of instinct. I will say, when you get the document review job, I found that I did get a handsome payout. However, you're never at home. So maybe that's why I felt like it was so handsome, because I had no time to ever spend it on anything. Like, this, they're like, we'll bring in dinner for you.
Oh yeah.
If you stay until 10, we'll bring in dinner.
Come in on Saturday. We're going to have a pizza party.
We're going to have a pizza party on Saturday. We've got beers. If you stay
I will say,
7.
What I have learned is, like, in the document review world, the mentality is very similar to the floors of the freight brokers. Like, the incredible amount of time and effort and camaraderie you build in this thing.
Yeah, you're 100% right.
And if you lose the client or you lose the customer, that group just disappears the next day. But you're all kind of like striving to survive. Now, I think if IANA, you are very successful at IANA. I see no reason to think there would ever be anything different. But if you decide to go off and do something different, I think like a law firm, like, let's call it Rinke Leffler, and it might be like, we can say RL and be like real lawyers. Like, would that be interesting or appealing to you? Because that seems like something that people would pay handsomely for.
People want to see that. People want to see that. They will pay to see that. I will tell you, this too. Part of any kind of advocacy is also rainmaking, so to speak.
Yes,
like,
absolutely.
Reaching out, establishing a network, and you got to do it in any job if you're going to be successful, any public facing job, any outward facing job. And so, yeah, I have the gift for gab. You have the gift for gab. I mean, the two of us together, it's like an explosion. It's
I
all
think
encompassing.
I think that this precision schedule podcast will continue to have some level of precision scheduling in the future, but we're getting close to wrapping this up. And I want to kind of segue back to what people who are either attending or thinking of attending IANA's Expo in a couple of weeks. What would you want for people who are attending to get out of the Expo this coming up? I think it's 15th, 16th, 17th, and I think maybe some on the 18th.
Well, the good news here is we don't have to prove our relevance because intermodal right now is ripped from the headlines, right? So if you are hearing a lot about intermodal, you need to go to a place where everyone who does intermodal is there. This is, what do they call it? It's like Christmas for intermodal. It's everyone who is involved in the intermodal industry from all modes, from all facets. And as I mentioned, it could not be more topical. This is where you're going to find out what is intermodal, what are the benefits of intermodal, what are the challenges with intermodal, and all the people who deal with it every single day.
Do you think like brokers should be attending these things, or is that something that they should understand how that mode works?
Yeah, so it's interesting you just said that because we have a 3PL division, and typically they're called intermodal marketing companies. And this is something that I learned when I was at TIA. Those folks are the railroad's customers. It's not actually the shippers in that particular case, the beneficial cargo owners, right? So it's the intermodal marketing companies that are getting the business to the railroad and making all the arrangements. And so 100%. But the reason I say that's funny you should say that, because I met with someone earlier this week who was involved in trucking, and it was like, the intermodal people were over there near us, but we never really understood what they did. And I was like, yeah, you need to learn it, because again, this is the highest best use of the mode. And so if it makes sense to have intermodal, right, you need to have that part of your sort of ecosystem, so to speak.
That's a great way to look at it, because I think, because I'm not an intermodal person by nature. I'm mostly surface transportation with trucks and trailers, and that's what I understood. And I understood the brokerage space over time. But to your point, like the IMCs, like they're the ones who are the customers of the rails, just like for the motor carrier, the customer of the motor carrier is the broker. The broker is the one who's paying you to do the thing. So it's an interesting dynamic. All right, for a first timer, because I've never been to this expo. I've been to IANA events in the past, but never this one. As a first timer, what advice would you give to me?
Okay, I think that there are a multiplicity of conversations going on almost in every nook and every cranny. And so you want to make sure you focus on the expo hall, because that's where a lot of the people who are in the sort of vendor space, but also whatever the newest stuff is coming out. But you also want to pay attention to what are these people doing? What are they talking about? Like, because all of this stuff is also happening all around you. It's not just in the expo hall. It's not just at the sessions. It's also all around. I think my good friend Shelly Austin from Intech Logistics calls it speed dating. All these people are having all these meetings. They're having them in the bars, and they're having them in the hallways, and they're having them all there. I think it's really, it's an interesting dynamic. And, you know, as a first timer, you can just stride right up and say, hey, I'm moderating it. I'm moderating the most incredible panel tomorrow. So I just wanted to introduce myself. What's your role here? I make so many friends. I can't even believe it. I'm
excited to see how many friends I make. I think this will be, the flight's going to be long, because from Chicago to LA, it's like, I think like 3.5, 4 hours, but you have a longer flight than I do.
Yeah. I'll just have to catch up my correspondence.
Well,
I'm not going to do that.
As we get ready for the final things, if people want to learn more about the expo, where can they go to do that?
Well, you can go directly to intermodalexpo.com, or you can go to intermodal.org and then click on it.
I will put both of those things in the notes so people can find the expo. I look forward to seeing you in person.
I can't wait.
It's gonna be amazing. You're gonna find out the next
year. How tall are you?
I'm 5'6". I'm 5'6". I'm vertically challenged. I can have a step stool. I can meet with people that are tall.
How
tall are you?
I'm 5'9".
I know you're very tall, but I'm not terribly tall. I mean, that's
terribly tall.
Anyone who's over 5'8" is tall to me. Everyone's over 5'8" is tall.
Yeah.
I can't
All
wait
right.
to
Well,
meet
I'll see you with your step stool. I can't wait.
See, here's my tell people. I can fit in a glove box, and most people can't do that. I can fit in the trunk of a car. No people can't do that. I can get a step stool. I can meet anyone who's
Don't tell criminals that you can fit in a trunk. I just don't want to give them any ideas.
that is a
I've been
fair statement.
I've been listening to too much true crime.
There's a lot of interesting, let's not call it crime, but a lot of true reality TV and freight right now. I hope by the time we see each other in Iana, we will have a better visibility as to the future of the freight podcasting world. That's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on.
So as we wrap up, any final thoughts, Ann, before I kick you out of here and finish up the little outro?
I can't wait to see you all in Long Beach. I'll be there. Can't wait to meet you.
Thank you so much, Ann. She's got to go. I got to play some tunes. Thank you, as always, for tuning in to the Armchair Attorney podcast, one of the freight podcasts that are very popular out there. I am so grateful for the folks at Genlogs, Ryan Joyce and his incredible company. What the work that they're doing to fight freight fraud and cargo theft is incredible. They have technology that no one else on the planet is using. They are building a new standard of care for how you find and locate your trucks and trailers. If you lose something, chances are Ryan Joyce and his team might be able to help you find it. And the friends over at DAT, Dial a Truck. Since 1978, DAT has been a very important part of our supply chain, more important now than ever before. With Convoy, Outgo, and Trucker Tools in the mix, they have everything you need to build a trusted freight network. I am so grateful for the chance to do this, and I will see you again next time. Actually, if you follow the stuff I'll be doing, I'll be on the radio in 15 minutes. That's something. I'll see you later. Have a great rest of your day. I hit the button and it stops.